Alright, welcome everyone to the class today, and I prepared to show you one of my very recent games. I've been playing a lot recently and played about 5 tournaments in the last 2 months, and this one game I want to show you, I played at the World Open in the first round against a 2300 rated opponent. So and I like the way how I played in a middle game, since this class is on a middle game team. So we'll talk about how to play in a middle game the best way to try to put the most pressure on the opponent as possible. Yes?
Who's white or black?
I'm white, and now my opponent plays e6, and he's trying to play Nimzo Indian defense. So if I play knight c3, then he will play bishop b4, and then we have a Nimzo Indian defense. So I normally don't like to allow bishop b4, so I like to go knight f3 in these positions. So that way it's more difficult for him to do anything as far as pinning me. So but now he plays b6. g3, bishop b7, bishop g2, bishop e7, castle, castle. So this is a very common position, position here to play. And here white normally plays knight c3, developing the knight, and black goes knight e4, bishop d2, and then black tries to play f5. But here I didn't want to go into a main theory. I was playing a young opponent who I thought probably would know the theory, so I wanted to kind of play something rare. And I played the rook e1 move. Rook e1. The point of this move is to actually, it's a useful developing move, and I want to see now what he's going to do next. And now e4 square is under, I'm trying to, in the Nimzo Indian positions, you always want to try to control the e4 square if you can. Now my opponent played d5. e4 square I'm trying to control, so he's playing d5 to be able to control that square. If I go knight c3, then he takes my pawn. I don't want to give up a pawn. Okay? Now, what do you think you can try to do here? Maybe better to take. So that way, we eliminate his options of taking me. Now he takes back with the pawn, because if he takes with the knight, I have e4 attacking the knight. If he takes with the bishop, I go knight c3. So he takes back with the pawn, knight c3, and now he plays knight a6. The idea of this move is to play c6, knight c7, knight e6. It's a typical, it looks a little bit strange, but it's a typical maneuver for this position. The knight is well placed on c7. So I activated my knight on e5. He played c6, bishop f4, knight c7. And now a very important move here needed. Yes? Question? How to make this bishop active now?
Right.
Let's think about it.
Revealing.
The light square bishop needs to be more active. Okay? So that's what I would like to do. Activate the light squared bishop. Okay? Because it's not as active at the moment. So what can we do to activate him? Yes?
Bishop h3.
It's an interesting idea, bishop h3, certainly. Certainly bishop h3 is very interesting, but then he will play maybe c5 or something. Certainly, okay? But what else? What else do you have? Yes?
E4.
That's the correct answer. That's a typical idea, e4. Not only you're opening up the bishop, you're also opening up the rook. Okay? That's the idea. Bishop and a rook. Activating the pieces. Okay?
It opens up the bishop because the pawn is attacking. You get the pawn.
Now, when I take, for example, now my bishop is going to be attacking his pawn, and it's not protected by another pawn. When the pawn is protected by another pawn, your bishop can never take.
Right.
But if it's protected by a minor piece, if you have enough pressure, you can take that actually. So, but also this helps you to open up the rook file.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Now he took. Knight takes e4. Now my bishop is very active, my light square bishop. My rook is also an open file. Now he plays knight e6, attacking my bishop on f4.
Right.
Now my bishop is under attack. What to do? What to do now? The bishop is under attack. But I would like to make sure my light square bishop diagonal is open completely, because right now that knight is on the way. It's blocking me. So what can we do here to make sure that we open that diagonal? Yes?
Knight takes f6 check.
Correct decision, yes. Knight takes f6 check. He takes back with the bishop. He still wants to take the bishop here.
Then bishop e3.
Bishop to e3, very nice, protecting the pawn.
With certain.
And now pressure on c6, pressure on c6. Okay? Now, what's the idea here? For black, it's difficult because the pressure is huge on c6. Rook c1 is coming, queen a4 is coming, so a lot of pressure. Okay? So now he goes, if he goes rook c8, for example, I go rook c1, and now again I have more pressure on this. A lot of pressure. Okay? So he takes. I take. And here, actually I know it looks like he made the wrong decision, but actually his decision was right. Here he had to find the very best move here. And if he had done that, he's only very slightly worse. Let me flip the board and see if you can find the best move here for black.
Black's move.
Yeah, black's move. What's the very best move here? What is the very best move here for black? Correct, yes. Queen c7. That's the move actually he had to play. Because he exchanged the queens. But the problem when you exchange the queens, you have nobody to protect your bishop. So you can never really play c5. And that was a huge mistake on his part. Because if he had played queen c7, now the next move is c5. And he will trade the light square bishop. And now he has an excellent knight on e6. So queen c7 is a very powerful move. And like let's say f4, then he goes here. And rook d1 is coming. Rook d8, knight d4, it's comfortable for black. So if he plays this move now, I have to play this move. I must play this move, otherwise I don't have anything. So what is the move here for white now? Let's switch. To still have a small advantage, to have that small advantage, I have to play this move. To have the small advantage, I have to play this move. Yes?
Queen b3.
c5. You have to do something so he doesn't play c5, because if he plays c5, you don't have anything. Yes?
b4.
Possibility. Possibility. What else? Remember, we're talking about stopping him from playing c5.
Can you stop him from?
Yes.
You can stop him.
Yes. I mean, I can make it that way that he doesn't play c5 because he will lose
There has
it.
to be another threat.
He will lose a piece. Yeah.
Queen d6.
Very strong. Correct again. Queen d6. Everybody, this is the move. Okay. Exchanging the queens. Very strong idea because now he takes. Pawn takes, and you have a pass pawn here as well, and this bishop cannot move, and now you have some a4, a5 ideas, putting some more pressure here. So this is really the best move here. Queen d6. It's a small advantage. Okay, it's a small advantage, but it's still an advantage. Okay, with a4, a5, we'll be pressing. Okay, we will be pressing here. Okay. All right. So he took. I took. Now he went here, proposing the exchange of the rooks.
The exchange of rooks?
No, not really. I want to just continue pressing him and increasing the pressure. So how are we going to try to put pressure? Yes?
Rook d6.
You could go rook d6, but we did that in the other position because it was a necessity. But here it's not because he's not threatening to play c5. Here we have a majority, yeah? Queenside majority, 4-3. Why don't we try to use that majority to our advantage? What do you think of that? How about we use that majority?
Rook takes d8.
Rook takes d8, rook takes d8. Why you just give up the file? You don't want to give up the file.
F4.
Excellent thinking, yes. F4. Threatening f5, correct? Why not? Now he plays g6. He says no. I will not let you do that.
g4.
G4, yes. We say we're going to push anyway. Anyhow.
But you're using that 4-pawn advantage.
Majority. Majority. King side majority, okay? Now he takes, and he proposes the exchange of the rooks. Now this is an important moment here. Here is you need to make a right decision. What decision you need to make here as white? Now the question is, see, oftentimes we exchange pieces without even realizing we should exchange or we're not. But stronger player you become, you realize sometimes that not always you need to exchange the rooks. If the guy puts the rook in front of you, most of the time we just think we should take. That's just a natural reaction. And I've made that mistake several times. Even being a grandmaster, I made that mistake. It's tricky. But I also learn from those mistakes that not often you need to exchange rooks. If you keep one pair of the rooks on the board, you have a lot of resources with the rooks on the board than without it. In this position, I have advantage regardless, so it doesn't matter. So that's why, but still, you want to play the very best move here. And the very best move is rook d6. I don't know. Take, king f8.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Move the rook out of the way.
I'm not completely sure if I want to exchange my rooks. Remember?
So if you move it to
rook c1.
c1.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, c1. There's no other options because that's the best square. Because now we're putting pressure on him. A lot of pressure. Well, if you go rook c8, then I go f5. I keep pressing. Because I have f5. So he cannot just play passively like that, okay? So he decides to go knight d4. Trying to get active with knight d4. Threat is to go knight e2 check. Okay? Now, very important move here needed. Don't rush. Think a little bit. Okay? Think a little bit. It's not so clear. I had to spend a couple of minutes to figure out which one is the best because there are two tempting possibilities here. Two good ideas I have here, but how to proceed? The question is, how to proceed here? Is that a guess or is that a
commitment?
is that a guess or it's the really you think you're gonna do that? Because he is threatening 92 check, and by playing Rook C4 you actually stop that threat, because that's just it's becoming useless to check. Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course.
King F2. So
King F2 was my
threatening Rook E1.
King F2 was my first reaction. Okay, so that's why I didn't want to play King F2. But Rook C4 indeed is the move that I played, because now this check I just go king up, and the knight now cannot do anything.
Right.
Okay, and the good thing about this move is he cannot play C5 because his bishop is still unprotected. Okay, if he goes knight E6, I have F5 attacking him anyway. Okay, so he goes here. What to do?
Bishop takes C6.
Okay, bishop takes C6.
Rook takes C6.
Check.
King F2.
And now he quickly went Rook A2, Rook A1, thinking like he's winning my pawn.
A3.
A3, he is going to go Rook A2 actually. A3, that's what he was thinking. Oh, A3, he can go Rook A2, and now this is hanging. And if I protect, he can do some tactics, you know.
Why not just check?
Check,
With
king
the,
up,
with
Okay,
the rook.
then
king up.
Bishop D4. Oh.
Okay, it's not so clear. Yeah, it's not so clear here. So I certainly didn't want to allow him some counterplay, and then he'll be back into the game. He's going to get back into the game. So what is the move here?
Not rook to C8.
King G7? We need to have a
Five.
follow-up. F5, excellent work, yes. Because now if he takes, you go check and checkmate, okay? He cannot go here, bishop H6.
Oh.
He takes. Now what do we do here? I know recapturing the pawn is a very tempting idea,
Oh, bishop
but here,
C6.
one second, let me finish. But here is one of those positions when you see a good move, you do what?
Make it better.
Look for a better one. Okay, that's the example why you need to remember that. When you see a good move, you look for a better one. And here, where is the better one? Let's see, two hands, okay. Yes. Bishop H6, bravo, yes. Completely controlling the squares, and now threatening a back rank checkmate. You see that? Very difficult to do anything. The back rank checkmate is coming on C8. The only thing he can try to do here is
F6.
F6. You're right.
But then we just take with the pawn, right?
F6 now.
F6, right?
F6 now. What are we going to do now?
No, rook takes F6. Rook takes.
Rook takes, correct, yes. Rook takes F6. Of course, because now after Rook takes F6, you're threatening
Mate is unstoppable. F8.
Rook F8 mate, and it's simply unstoppable. He cannot do anything. He cannot come up or do anything, and it's simply over. All right?
Beautiful.
And he resigned here. So that's the game, okay? Yeah, I guess the only other thing here, it was a very nice natural. Oh, I want to talk about this, F4. Why am I playing F4? Why is this so effective here? Because of what? Yes. To go f5. Why am I playing there? Because of which reason I should do that? Yes?
It protects your pawn on e6.
Yeah.
You know, creates a wall, I guess.
Nice chain, huh? Nice pawn chain. Yeah. Well, I'm playing there because of the simple reason I have 4 pawns on that side of the board and he has 3. So I'm trying to increase the pressure. Got it?
Yeah.
Questions? All right. So that's the idea. And after that was, again, he tried to stop me. I say no. And this decision was important. How many of you here would just trade the rook here without thinking? Thinking it's like especially in blitz. Anybody? No? Nobody? I might have done it. I might have done it if this was a blitz game. Because, in blitz, they put the rook, they take your rook, they put the rook, and you just say, okay.
The reason I probably would do it myself is...
You would be worried about his rook coming in?
Well, not only that, I want to try to get to f5 as well. If I can get to f5.
The problem with that is he's going to get c5 in on time, and then you're still better. There's no question about who is better here. It's me. But I just try to win it clean win, clean. We want a clean victory. Now, this move rook c4 is very important, okay? Take. Check.
F5.
Better. Now, yeah, right here, yes. Don't play a3. See, you were suggesting that earlier. Too slow. You don't want that, okay? You want f5. Simply attacking, okay? Now threatening check and mate. If he takes, bishop here and mate on c8. Okay. All right, very good. Now, I have a couple of positions I want to set up for you to see if you can find the solution, okay? Okay. Middle game and endgame is very important. All right. This is a pretty difficult position, but I will give you a little bit of time to think, and then I'll help you, okay? Guide you to the right solution.
Is it blocked?
White to play and win. Yes. We're down a queen, but we're going to win. It's a very nice study here. Usually we try to look for, the first thing we do, we look for some possible checks here, right? So let's try to see what type of checks we have. First, we find that out. What checks we have, okay? Okay, that's good. The very first thing you do is whenever you're trying to solve puzzle, study, anything like this, start looking the checks first, okay? So we have, which checks you mentioned? Knight a5 or knight d2. Okay, that's already good start. Now we need to decide now which one is the best. Which one will give you some more chances, to create forks. Look where his queen is. His queen is on b8, so if you go knight d2, your knight is going to be very far. You can't create any fork threats, right? So that's one of the ideas, that you can do some forks maybe in this position. Knight a5 check. Okay, I'm going to help you a little bit because it's a difficult position. So check. So let's try to do his ideas. He's got 2 moves here, right? So king c3 or king a3. King a3 loses immediately. Do you see why?
Yeah, bishop c5. Bishop c5.
Check.
Yeah.
And
Mate on a4.
mate on a4. Very good. Okay, now we eliminate king a3. Now we come to the most difficult moment here. King c3. And you got to be careful because maybe he will mate you with queen b2 if you're not careful.
Bishop d2.
That's another variant. Again, we look at the checks first, right? Bishop d2. The problem is he goes king d3, and he sort of escapes now. Okay?
We need something that keeps him from escaping.
Yes, very good. What did you say? Say that again.
We should do something to keep him from escaping.
Exactly. We need to do something to keep him from escaping, because he wants to escape with the king.
Rook c4.
Again, but that's you're kind of pushing him, yeah? You're kind of pushing him to the escape, no? That's sort of, you pushed him now again. That's a little bit.
But you're 2/3 correct.
When your king gets.
2/3 correct.
That's a big hint, Ben. Okay, so this d3 square is, if the king gets there, then we're not going to be able to win, okay? So let's think of something else. There is a reason why you played knight a5, okay? There is a reason why you played knight a5, not knight d2. So you have this move here. It's a very special move. It's not a regular move. It's a very special move.
All right. It was harder to find the answer than give that hint.
All right.
It wasn't easy. This isn't easy.
Okay, yes.
Rook d4.
Rook d4. Okay, rook d4. Let's try to see. Rook d4. The problem is, I mentioned, right? He's going to check you.
Yeah.
Well, probably not mate, but you're not going to win now. He's going to give you a lot of checks, okay? Check,
Every
take.
move has to be a check now.
Well, right now we don't have a check.
No, but I mean, the move, this is White's move.
It's white move, yeah. It's not a check right now.
I know.
The correct move.
But the next move should be a check, it seems to me. Am I right?
No,
Not necessarily.
not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's a very special move, remember?
All right.
It's a very special move, yes.
I didn't tell her.
Rook b4, okay. She found some excellent moves today, so very good. Rook b4, okay. Excellent move. Now you connect things together and realize why this move works. First thing is, now remember I told you to knight is better on a5 because of some forks.
You got a skewer coming up.
If it takes,
You got a skewer.
aha,
And if it takes with the queen, you gotta skewer.
excellent, that's one. So if he takes with the queen now,
Now it's a skewer.
now it's a skewer check, and the knight is controlling the very important two squares. So he has to step away and
Var, there's only one problem. Now the people in your class have to name a bishop and knight. That's the
yes, well, I was going to say that, but that's something not for today. That's something I've kept saying one day I will do like a video on just this, but it's always at the end of the class, so we don't have the time. But one day maybe somebody should remind me just to do this.
We'll have to make flyers for that. It'd be like the best class ever.
Exactly, how to win. One thing I can tell you, I don't know if Ben, how many times you had this. I've only had once in the tournament this position occur. In a real tournament game, I only had once in 2009 Las Vegas tournament. But it's not very often you're going to have this, okay? But it still would be useful to know it.
That's what I had the king. Against Shadow Water in those two.
Can you go back to that previous position?
Yeah. So we both had once, and we've been playing for very long time. So there's one more move here. We're not done yet here, guys. One more move here. What if he plays queen g8? And it looks like now he kind of stops your rook b3 mate idea. What can you do now? Yeah.
After rook d4, black can play queen g1, which is very funny.
Yeah. It's queen g1. It's a take. It's a stalemate. Okay. So it will be a draw. Very nice draw. But don't believe me immediately, because after queen g8 you still have the check, right? Do you see now? What can you do if you played the check? C4 again. He has king d3. The c4 check, he goes, rook b3 check. Now he will take. If you take his queen, then this is a draw because he cannot win this position with just the bishop. So, but what you're gonna do?
Bishop d2.
Bishop d2, and again, it's the same idea. His king cannot stay close to the queen. He has to go away because now bishop takes this square, and the knight takes the c4 square. So he has to move away, and you take the queen. And again, we come back to this position that bishop and knight is a win, but you only have 50 moves to do it. Okay? So you only have 50 moves to do it.
15.
No, 5-0. 5-0. Yeah.
This point?
Yes.
Yeah, from here, you have if you don't win in 50 moves, then it's a draw. It's a 50 move draw rule. Okay. One thing I can tell you about this position is you probably will be able to push this king to one of the corners, and the black should go to the light square corner, and then from there you have to push his king to the color of your bishop. So dark square in this case, and then you'll be able to win. And in one of the ideas you're going to use there is called W maneuver with the knight. Your knight is going to move like a W. Okay, so I will just show you that part. He could try to stay in the middle, but he's not going to be able to do it because you have two pieces and they will take all the squares. So eventually you will get this position. Okay, and there might be some other ways to do it, but this is the way I know how to do it. So the knight controls the light square because your bishop is not effective in this case. So he will go here. So okay, bishop move, and now this is how you start pushing him to this corner. Okay, so now he cannot go back to b8. So and he will go here, and this is where the W maneuver is right here. So your knight will move like this: d5, e7, f5, g7. That's why they call this a W maneuver. So he goes here, check. Now you come here. Slowly you will push him to h8. Now he tries to escape, check. Now you continue with W. And in between you have to make sure you make some waiting moves, okay? Because you want to make the knight move with a check. And now you continue. King on g8. And again, as soon as he tries to escape, you go check. He goes here. And now you can go knight f5. And now again, always remember the waiting move. You make a knight move and then a waiting move.
And then knight
Your waiting move should be on this diagonal so he doesn't escape. And now mate in 2. You see it?
h6.
Uh-huh. Bishop f8. h6. Okay. Very good. One more thing I want to show you, because otherwise then this may happen and then you will mention that I didn't tell you this, because this is a little tricky moment. When you do the W, if he goes king c8, then it's kind of easy. You just do this idea that I showed you. But if he goes king to e8, then it's a little bit tricky, but still you'll be able to finish him off. So king d6, king f7. It looks like he's escaping here, but now remember this move, knight e7. Again, you continue with your W move and control these two important squares. Okay?
What? You can't escape from there?
No, you can't, because if he plays king f6 or king g7, in both cases you play bishop e3. Now you control these squares. See? All the squares now under control.
Right.
So he goes back. Now you can go bishop d4. Now controlling the f6 and g7 square. Now he has to go back to the back rank. Now you go here. So he's trying now to escape here, and now bishop here. And now he's back in that position, and now you continue with W, right? Knight f5, bishop c7.
That's a waiting move.
This was recommended by President Bush. W.
Check. And the same idea. Okay, do you understand now how you can try to, it's not easy, I know, but this is a start, okay? This is a start. I'm sure there are a lot of people who have videos on this, how to do it, like very slow, but just remember the concept that I showed you. First, you use your pieces to push his king to the corner, If he doesn't know that he needs to go to the light square, then he will get checkmated more quickly if he goes, let's say, to the color of your bishop. But most likely he will go there, and then you just use this W maneuver to be able to mate him. Okay. Again, it's not like very common, but I know some examples. The biggest one was when the world woman champion, the current at that time, she never studied it, and she had it in a big tournament, and she was the world woman champion at that time, and she just never studied. She didn't know how to do it, and she went around for a long time, and then it was just really embarrassing at the end that she did the 50 move rule. Opponent normally at the very high level they resign if you just kind of demonstrate in the beginning that you know what you're doing, but she was not very sure, and her opponent didn't resign, and they play on, and she didn't know the W maneuver, how to do it, and eventually 50 move rules, and she had to give up a draw. So that was the big thing. I remember there might have been some other examples, but this was the big one. My example was I was playing an international master from Canada, and I was better the entire game. That it was very technical. Eventually, I had a pass pawn. Normally, what happens? You have a pass pawn, and he has a rook. You promote, he sacrifices, and then you have this. That's actually how a lot of times I think it happens. This position, and then I start demonstrating. But as soon as I put him in I did the W, and it was just a couple of moves away. He just resigned because it was already clear that I kind of knew what I was doing. But again, I mean, in 27 years of playing, this happened only once. So some people maybe had more, but it's very rare. But it's good to know.
So a way to practice this particular position would be just to have the two kings and the
bishop and a knight
anywhere on the board.
Yeah, anywhere on the board. I would do it like today. We did it with the dark square bishop. Do it with the light square bishop. It's the same thing, but do it with both. Yeah. The concept is the same. He will go to the dark corner. Then you have to use him to drive him to the other. It's a good exercise. It's a good exercise. It's a good thing to know.